Good evening, guys. Today we'll actually do an exercise where we'll learn, how we can actually uh, accomplish this task. And the task is that we need to actually separate these numbers, which starts with the this dw dot, right? So, and this question is actually asked in one of my trainings by one of my students, and he has this data wherein he has around, I guess, maybe 200 300 rows, and so everywhere the data starts with this dw dot, and he wants to separate them. So what he actually wants to do is he wants to take these entries to the new sheet, dw dot east, and then below that dw west, and then again below that dw dot a986, and so on. And similarly for this, they want to actually separate the things like dw dot east, and then dw dot west, and then dw dot Ajay, and then dw dot 34442, and so on, right? So I thought that since the question is actually so good, so why not to go ahead and share the video with you, and perhaps this can actually enhance your knowledge in VBA to exactly like what all you can do, how you can actually prepare yourself for such conditions. You might be thinking of using the text to column, or might be using trying to use some arrays formula, which are my favorite formulas, or there could be n number of things, right? But I thought that the VBA for this would be the best way to do. And so here we are, and we are going to actually start this macro, a subroutine. We are going to prepare this, and we'll actually try to spread them, right? So let me just first delete this sheet, which is my sheet 5, and over here let's quickly start the macro. And I'll go to the this background, and I'll create the module here. And in this module now, I'm going to write the sub, and let's say we're gonna name this sub split text. You can write whatever name you want, as long as it follows the the rules and the regulations, the basics. So I have named it split text, so that every time I come back to this module, and if I have 100 modules over here, then it can always help me in understanding that what exactly is the macro talk, what exactly my macro does. So that's why it's always very beneficial, and to be a good programmer you should give actually good naming convention, so that you can correlate your code with the subroutine, with the macro procedure, right? Alright, so let's start this. So idea is to basically, let me just tell you first, let me just drag this somewhere else. So guys, idea is to split these entries one by one. Wherever we have the space, right, we actually are going to split them. So AJ, and then dw dot east, and then JJ, and then the 2 slashes, and then again dw dot west, and everything is going to be split out. Once we have the data in the split form, we can run a loop over there, and we can tell that wherever we get this starting something with this dw, it should be stored somewhere, right? So in order to do that, we'll use the split function, and I'll also use the arrays, right? That's very interesting. It's going to be very interesting, I must tell you. So let's quickly build this. So the very first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to declare first my array, as it is going to be string. So right now this is going to be my array, which is open, so it can hold a number of items. The second thing which I'm going to do is maybe I'm going to run the loop. So I'm just assuming right now that, let me just declare this as integer, because I'm going to run the loop. So now the next thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to say that m is let's say string. And so what I'm going to do now is I'll say that this m is equals to split, let's say split, I'm gonna name my text, okay? And my text is what? My text, we have to declare the my text as well, string, because it is going to be string. And this my text should be equals to, this should have a value of what's my sheet name? I'm gonna name the sheet sheet 4, and then the whatever the value I have. So I have the value in the cell second row and the first column. the second column, right? It is on the B column, so I'll say this, right? And then split my text. So I'm not sure whether we will be going to use this my array, but let us check first of all if we are going to actually split this function or not, right? So this split function is you know, a member of this function is in this class. I'll just tell you, this is, I think, in strings dot split, as you can see here, right? This is the function, and you know, the benefit of using this string is that I just came to know that I misspelled the thing, you know, entire this function split. So it is actually split. So this is the class which you can even go to the, you know, object browser, and from here you can type the string and you can press enter, and this is the class where you have all the functions over here. I'm just actually trying to tell you that, you know, what exactly are the classes. So these are the classes, and the classes have the properties and the, you know, methods and the functions. So this string class has all these functions which you can use. You can use format, you can use instr, you can use instr reverse, you know. So this is a more of your find function which you use in Excel. Then you have the lowercase, left, and so on, you know, mid, length. So from there I actually got this trim function, right? This is the trim function, and split, let me press S, and here we have the split function. So from there I got to know that this is actually split function, and this is what I'm actually going to use it, right? And let us quickly put the watch on this so that we can see that what exactly, when this code will run, what value I will have in this M. Okay, so let me just quickly first of all show you step by step. So I'm going to press F8. Now let me run this F8, press F8. So now my text will have what value? So as you can see here, my text, it has the value, and let me just drag this here. So I have got the value here, which is perfect. This is the value I have in this, and now see what will happen. This split will do what? You might have a question that what this split is going to do. Alright, so I'm getting the error here. You create the arrays, you know, you need to use these brackets, as I was telling you in the beginning as well, right? My mistake, my bad. Now, so now when I run this code, what will happen is you see that this M will be split, and if I click here on the plus sign, you see that I'm getting all the, you know, the values one by one. So it has the 0th place in the array is, you know, this AJ, and then DW East and JJ, and you know, it has actually split out all these elements, and this is 0 1 2 3 4 is the index of the arrays, right? Arrays always starts with the 0 if you don't declare the option base at the very top. But anyways, you don't have to go into that deep. Just take this as you know, a kind of a bunch of values which are, you know, which we got actually together, and we are going to use them now, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I'm going to run a loop for I equals to 0 to u bound of my array, which is M next. Now you might be thinking what exactly this u bound stands for. U bound stands for the upper limit of the array. Now if I drag, you know, hover this my cell over here, you'll come to know that it says 6. Why it says 6? Because when I'm going to run this, this actually is going to have the 6 elements. 1, 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is, and the 5 and the 6. So upper bound 6 means that array can hold 7 values, which is exactly the case. Let me just rerun this and I'll just show you. So let's count the elements. 0 1 2 3 4 5 6, and the last one is this 6th element, right? So it starts from the 0. So this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7, right? So it will run within these all elements one by one. That's why I have just created this, right? So because I don't think so there is another way of doing it. I mean, there must be some way of doing it, but I think this is the best way, because then how will you come to know that this loop has to run, you know, for how many times, right? So this is the function ubound, which is actually giving the 6. Now you may like to use this as, you know, 6 as well. That's one of the same thing. But what if this text, you know, will change? If it will have more values, or maybe some values are going to be deleted from this, right? So you will have a problem. This will be a static, so we don't want to make this static. Instead of this, I'm going to make this dynamic, and this is how I'm going to make this dynamic. So whatever the upper bound of this M array will have, the number of elements it will actually run for that, that many time. So now what we want to do is that let's just rerun this so that you should know what exactly I'm doing. So now what we want to do is M of 0 has AJ. So what I'll do is I'll say that if this array, I'll say that, let's say index, I'll give some variable. If this is if this has this DW text, okay, so how you can write it? You're going to write it just like this. You use this database, this operator, basically this function like, and what it does is, let me just prepare the code, and we'll say that if this M index like has this DW and then the star, then something should happen, right? And so something should happen. Alright, and then we'll just rectify the code. Else it should say simply end if. We don't really actually want to do anything, right? Alright, so now how are you going to write this DW? You'll put it in the quotes, okay, and star means that it can have n number of characters after W, right? So it doesn't really necessary what exactly it should have, but the only thing is that it should actually start with the DW. The very first 2 characters should be DW, and then thereafter it should have anything, right? So maybe you can say that it's DW dot star. The star will have anything, and like means that basically this means that it should contain this. So that's why we use this. If you have ever worked on SQL Server or maybe on the MS Access database, you know that what exactly I'm talking about. So this is more of an operator which we use, and this says that it is going to be like DW, so it means that it should have actually DW as a part of it. And since I'm saying that at the very first it starts from the DW dot and then the star, so it means that after DW dot it can hold anything, or maybe if there's no value, still it should be counted. Now what we exactly want to do is, if that is the thing, then we want that in sheets 5, which is my next sheet, the value for the cells, let's say again the index, or I would say the row number, and the column number would be 1. It should be equals to what? It should be equals to the first element of the array, which is M of index, right? And thereafter what you need to do is you need to increment this row number by 1, so that I should get on the next row. And similarly I will say that the index should also be incremented by 1. We'll run the code and then you'll understand it, right? And I should also must mention here that the row number should start with the 1, because row number cannot be 0. However, index value should start from the 0, which is the array element. And let me just drag this like this. And in case if that is not going to be if it is not containing DW, then definitely it should go to the next line. But again, in else as well, I want to say that this should actually go to the next row and next index, right? Okay, so let's run this code now and see what exactly we are going to get here. So I'm pressing F8, variable not defined. So what variable I don't have? Okay, row number is not defined. All right, so let me just define this row number as integer. Very important to declare the integers, the data variables. Watch out my another video on the VBA data variables, importance of the data variables. You will come to know what I'm talking about. And I guess we need to declare index as well. So right now I'm just giving it a byte, because I know that it is not going to be exceeding the 255. That's the maximum limit of the byte. So let's press F8 and let's see what we have. So now I have this all the elements together, row number 1, index 1. So for I equals to this, perfect. This will run 7 times, 0 to 6 times, and instead of this 0, you can do one thing. You can say for I equals to 1. Okay, alright. So now my text is, you know that this is the value which we have here, and this is the more important line, that I should have all the elements together. And now let us see what exactly we are going to do here. So now m of index is what? M of index 0, because index starts with the 0, so m0, which is this 0, it is what? If I hover my cell over here, you can see that it says AJ. So AJ does not have DW, so it should skip the then, right? Perfect. So it has gone to the else. Now what it is going to do in the next, it is going to increment the row number by 1, and it is going to increment the index by 1. Alright, so we are incrementing this. Index is very important. We need to get this, you know, added, because so that this 0 now would be 1, and I should actually compare this dw dot east. If I'm not going to increment this every time, this m0, which is AJ, will be, you know, compared with this dw, and the loop will run, you know, 6 times, and 6 times I'll get the same result. So that's why I have incremented this. However, this row number, I'll tell you that why I have incremented this once we'll get on this true condition. So for right now, I'm just pressing F8 and go to the end if, and maybe I can little bit of, you know, use this tag so that it is going to make sense, a lot more sense actually for you. This is then, this is else, right? Perfect. Alright, now go to that next, and in the next case, now what will happen? This index is now changed to 1, so m index 1 has what? m1 has what value? Let me just hover this dw east. So this dw east has definitely this dw dot. So I want that now this time I'm sure that this will go to the true condition, which is this condition, right? So here now the row number 2 of the next sheet, which is this sheet, the sheet 5, this value will be added there of this m index, right? What is my m index 1? This is my dw east. So if I press F8, I should have got that value. Let me just check. As you can see here on the second row, now I have got the dw east, right? Perfect. So let me just come back to this sheet, and now the row number has to be incremented. Why? Because this time it is second. So if I will not increment this row number, what will happen is it keep on overwriting this stuff, which I do not want. The next time I want that it should be on the row number 3, right? So that's why I actually incremented this row number, and index is already being incremented because of the fact that because I am using this m index, and this index is, if it is going to be 3 this time, then or 2 this time, then this m2 will be compared, right? So I'm going to loop all the, you know, these m0 1 2 3 4 5 6, you know, 6 times with the help of this for next loop. That's why it is so important to increment row number and the index. So else, and if. Now let's again check. So now the index is 2, index 2 has jj, which I can see here. Jj of course not equals to this, so it will skip this then, and it will go to directly to the else. So row number is being incremented again, and index is again being incremented, and if. And now again you have this index as what? 3, which is this double slash. So definitely it is going to again skip, and similarly we'll go to the next line, and this time what I have here is dw dot west, which is this 4th element, right? So obviously this is going to be true, so this will now definitely be going to add to the row number 5, and this row number 1 again going to be incremented, and this index is going to be incremented. Let me quickly check here. So you have got here dw dot west. Perfect. So this code is working, and then you can again further go, and this is going to be 5th. So 5th has jh, which is definitely does not contain any dw dot, so it is going to skip this. And so this is how you can actually run this code. So I hope that we have got all the entries. Let me quickly check. So the last one is skipped. we have got the dw.east and dw.west, but we haven't got the dw.986, and the reason is I just remember that I changed this 1 to actually from 0 to 1. If you remember, in the beginning it was 0. So ideally, if you're changing this 1, then it means that this loop is going to run 6 times, whereas in your this u-bound it should be +1, because you know the very first value, the array will have the 0th element. So maybe if we increase this by 1, then that means that we'll have all the elements, you know, covered in our loop. Let me just press F8 again, and let me just show you. So how many elements we have in the array? This is the m6th element, which is the last one. So including 0th, it is going to be 7, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. These are the 7 elements. So that's why we forgot to add 1. So this is perfect now. So let me just quickly run this, and we'll get all the values here. Or maybe I can press F5. Alright, the macro has run. Now let us check we have got the values or not. So as you can see here, we have got all the values, right? And then thereafter what you can do is you can further go ahead and you can record the macro, or maybe you can just simply, you know, come here manually, and you can create here maybe some header, and you can, you know, sort this. So just say my data has headers, and just say yes. So you'll get all this together. So this is how you can actually segregate these numbers, right? And definitely you can create a, you know, button over here. So create the button. Let us just create this button, and let's just give this name, split text. That's the name. And now if I'm going to delete this and just come back to this sheet 4, and I press this, the macro has run. Let us see if we have got the output. Yeah, we have got the output. Perfect, right? All right. So similarly, for these conditions, you can again create. What you can do is you need to run this loop every time, right? So what you can do is you can select this entire range, and you can tell your macro to run, you know, these many times, right? So this is how you can do. And so what you can do is maybe you can say here in this macro, here you can say that let's say dim RNG as, maybe you can do this stuff. You can declare this as a range, and you can say that set RNG. This is going to be a, we are going to deal with the class, so we're going to deal with the object. So we'll say that this is going to be my sheet 4, and dot range. So you can start it from the B2 to, let's say it is going to be B5. Alright, that's it. And so when you run this, you need to use a one more for, and you can say that for each RNG in my this active sheet dot ranges, or maybe you can say that ranges, for each RNG in ranges, go to the next, right? And now I just want to ensure that every time when this will work, it should not be overriding these stuff, right? So what we can do is, once this macro, when this for loop it is going to be, let's just create some good alignment here. So when this first loop will run, so what exactly is happening, how the Excel treats the loops? First it is going to see this if, it is going to run this for, and once it will finish up with this for loop, which is going to run how many times? The number of times you have this array, the number of elements we have, you know, after the space. So if I have the 6 element, this loop will run 6 times, as I shown you. After the 6 times, when it is going to run, before it ends, it will go to this next, right, this next, and then it will pick the next element. So here what we want to do is we want to actually tell Excel that now your turn is to use this cell. So how you gonna do that? The very first thing which you need to do is you need to declare this as column number, because this time I will like to change the column number to by 1, because we want the data to be split in a different way, in a different column. So I'm going to increment this by 1, and then I'm also going to declare this column number equals to 1, and I'll declare here the column number as well as integer. Alright, and you can declare it as byte as well, not a problem. What else we can think of right now is row number will remain as it is. It's not a problem actually, but yes, you can, I guess, further again you can make the row number maybe that's fine. That's not so much required. I guess we are fine then. So yeah, one thing more. So you'll have this M, which is your this string, this array, right? So this time my text is equals to, you said that it is going to have this value C222, but ideally now this time it is going to be changed, right? So instead of writing this over here, maybe I can write it here, okay? And this again, the cell 2 will have the row number, and this will have definitely be the second, and I'm going to increment the row number again. So here I'll have the row number is 1, perfect, and let's just put this M here. This step, these two steps, I think now the things are going to be changed. So I'm going to comment them. Let me just comment them. All right. So now I think we are ready for the code. Why I'm doing this, because we have now applied the another loop. So whenever it will execute whenever it go to this second cell, this cell, after working on this cell, after splitting this in this sheet, the next time we want that for the next value it should split here and then here and then here and so on, right? So for that I have actually placed this in this, the row number. This M equals to string split my text equals to over here. So I think now we can run the code, and let me just delete this. And just put it back here. So we'll now going to run this again on the F8 mode, and let me just maximize this and drag this, right? So let's run this code now. Alright, so variable not defined. Alright, this is exactly I was thinking. So ranges is not a word, so what I need to do is maybe I can say that for each RNG in, let's say I'll say that big RNG, okay, and over here I have to define this big RNG, and here I will say that big RNG as range, right? So this is going to be for each loop. It's collection loop, this we call it. So this is singular you can say a kind of a singular object we are dealing with, and this is more of a plural, right? For each range means that in my this entire range which I have given, which is starts with the B2 and B5, for each or I can maybe write here cell, that's a variable, nothing else, so it will make more sense to you in understanding. So what we are actually going to do is, in this range we are going to say that in this range we are going to say that for each cell, for each cell do this action, and then do this action, do this action, do this action, that's it, till the time you are in this range which is B2 to B5. Okay, so alright, so we have a syntax error here, that's something which should not be there. Alright, so let's start this. Now this has started. Now you can see here that this cell, if I hover my cell over here, I'm seeing the first value. So this is going to be now going to work on this first, going to work on this value which you can see here. Okay, so my text sheet 4, again my text is okay, so we have got a problem here. My text is showing empty. Why? Because row number is 1 and my row number actually should start with 2. Alright, so maybe I'll create another this row number, because I don't want to do any changes in these variables, they are perfect as we have already run the code. So maybe I can say it as this ROWW, and this has to be the very first point, the 2, and so now I'll just rerun this code again, and we'll have to declare the variable as well. Okay, so I'm going to declare this as again integer. Let me just reset this and let's start the code. So guys, I'm preparing this code right away, I haven't actually prepared it before. So why I do that? Because I generally believe in recording the live stuff, so that whenever I stuck somewhere, the way I'm thinking, the way I'm trying to approach, approach what approach, the positive approach which I have, that I need the solution, I'm doing the adjustments, I'm thinking, so that you can also correlate yourself. If I'm going to prepare a right away the code, which I have already done and I have practiced and it is working, then I guess that will not be a fun. That is more of a theoretical education, that I have said that do this and do that. So that's why I always stay away from that kind of a stuff. I always try to build the codes from the scratch and then I go with the flow, because ultimately the errors are the ones which are actually going to make you awesome in VBA. If you don't get the errors, you will not understand the code at all, right? You can copy this code very well, you can download this file by uploading any software, and you can copy this, but I really don't want that. You should actually understand what exactly we are going to do, right? Alright, so let's start this. Now I have the row number 2 here, and this cell is again holding up the same value which you can see here in the B2, and now this my text is empty, but once I run this, it has again the same value, which is this value 986, right? Because of the fact I have changed this, I have given this row number 2. Alright, perfect. So we have got this, and now this M will be split. Now M will have all those values, and this we have already seen. Maybe I can take this watch over here and we can expand it. I can keep this here, right? Okay, now let's run this. Now this is going to run how many times? You know that 6 times. So this is something I have already done, so I'm quickly going to run this. I'm sure that we will have got the values there. Alright, now it has run. Let me just quickly check here. Alright, as you can see here, I've got all the values back. Perfect. Now what important is now is to go to the increment this column number by 1, because this time it is on the first column on the sheet 5, right? The sheet I'm talking about is this sheet, the sheet 5, right? So that's why I have actually incremented the column number. So now it should start with the B column. Let's go to this F8. before I go to the F8, there is one more thing which we need to remember, that this time the row number, this value, this should not be 2. This should be what? This should be, you should increase this by 1. Okay. Now the row number has 3 value, it will go to the next. Now this my text will have what? As you can see here, now this has picked this value dw.3442, and it is going to split now this value, and let us now check what we have got here. Perfect. Now the array is entirely changed, right? And now the u bound of this m will give me what? It will give me the 7. 7 plus 1 will make it 8. So it will run all these elements one by one. Wow, this is amazing, right? I'm sure you must be loving this, you know. We have used arrays, we have used 2 loops together. One is the normal for I loop, you know, I equals to 1 to 10, and the another one very interesting, which is for each loop, right? So this is actually alright. So we have got the subscript out of range. This is something we need to check here. Alright, so I have got the subscript out of range because you see, please pay attention to this, the index is now incremented by 8. Ideally it should have been a 0, right? Because what exactly happened is, when this loop ran on this cell, on the B2, the last value it got was the 7 or the 6, right? Because of which it has taken this index equals to index plus 1, and then it, you know, go to the next cell, but the index we did not change it. So that's what we need to do it here. We need to ensure that now next time when this will work, this index should be 0, right? So let me just reset this and see, we were getting these values on the B column. So let's run this code again. Just press F8. So this is the very first code I'm going to run very fast. Now it has completed the loop. I can show you, I have got all the elements, they are split, perfect. And now what exactly was the problem? Last time this index holds 7 value, so obviously when it will go to the next value, it will start with the index 8. So this time we have said that increment the column number by 1, the row number by 1, so that this should, you know, this row number will 2. If it is going to be 2, then this value will be not the this one, but you know, this one, B3. But at the same time we are saying that the index should also be 0. So we have made the index 0, and now this my text, you can see here that it has again, you know, taken this value which is the B3 cell, and now m is going to be split. And let us check if we have got the split. Yes, we have got the split, and this time now m will again be this m, you know, it is going to be what? It is going to be 0 here, right? Because m is 0. So it is now going to check this addf, which is this. So it contains dw, no, it will go to the else. Similarly will go to the endif, next, and then this time it will find the next element, which is dw east, which is m1, and definitely it has this value. So this time you remember that this I have incremented the column number here, you know, once it was through with all the 6 steps, 6 times when it ran. Thereafter when it, you know, got on this second cell, we incremented this column 2, because this is a column 2 of sheet 5. So when it goes to the sheet 5, it will not change the values of the first column which we had from this B2 cell, right? So that was the idea actually, to have these numbers change, to increment this column number by 1. Now the rest of the things will remain same. So this will run. Let us just run it, and it is checking all the values. And here now what we have got here is dw3442, which is the last one, and then it will go to the next again. It will say row number 1, and let us check whether we are getting the values or not. Yes, we are getting the values. Very nice. Okay, now again I'll press this F8. So let me quickly run this code, and guys, this keep on running this every time, you know, this keep on going to the all the loops. And now the moment it is on the now column number 1, the next time this my text and this m will have what value? It will have the value of this aj dot dw, this the last one. We are on the last one now. Reason being because row number is now 5 and you have this row number 5 where you have got this value. Oh, I'm sorry. So let's just run this, or maybe I can run this F5. Alright, let us see if we got the values or not. Very nice. We have got all the values. Perfect. That's what we actually wanted, isn't it? So now what you can do is you can quickly sort them out. Okay, so I'm gonna sort this out. You can again, you know, record this macro. It's not gonna create any problem for you, and you'll get all these together. Since it's a very small macro which I can, you know, do for you, so that's why I'll not go into that. But you can definitely record a macro, or whatever steps I have done so far, it can be recorded and you can add that, you know, in your this coding, right? But the main agenda was to actually split these entries. Okay, so ensure that you need to define this range b2 to b5. If it is going to be maybe till b10, then you have to change this to b10. Alright, only then it will work. So just now click on this and you will be through. So you got all the values here. Let me just delete them, make it blank, and now let's just run this and let's see if we got the output. Yeah, we have got the output, right? So this is how you can actually, you know, do a lot of stuff with this, and I think that's one of the best way to, you know, achieve your target, right? Alright guys, so I've taken your enough time. I hope you have enjoyed as much as I enjoyed while recording this video, and so don't forget to write me in and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye bye.